What's going on, everybody? I said I was gonna do a recap review of this fight, okay, a rewatch of this fight. All right, and I was gonna come back to you guys and let you guys know exactly how I felt about this fight and how it ended, and all of that. Shout out to everyone that was here on the live the other day. All right, the other night where we watched both cards. Congratulations to Richardson Hitchens for winning the title, the IBF title, up there at 140. And congratulations to Navarrete as well for beating Oscar Valdez in their rematch. But I wanted to come back here and rewatch this fight because a lot of us was left confused that night. All right. I know I said a lot of things on that live, but one thing I didn't do was overreact. I said to you guys right away, I'm going to need to rewatch this to understand exactly what happened. But throughout the fight, I had told you guys there were some elbows thrown. I think what I needed to see was what caused this swelling. And now we know officially now, or if you didn't know, Ramirez has suffered a fractured orbital bone. Okay, we see this a lot, common with a lot of fighters. Daniel Dubois, Kell Brook, it's very common. And normally when it happens in a fight, normally the fighter quit at some point. Okay, quit is harsh, but it's what happens. At the end of the day, Robesi took a shot early in the sixth round. It wasn't the hardest shot. It looked like Espinoza was very confused and shocked as well. Rewatching the fight, seeing his reaction, he wasn't expecting that. I don't think anyone expected what happened at the end of that fight. All right, but it's official. He has a fractured orbital bone. Okay, I think Billy Joe Saunders is another one when he fought Canelo. I mean, I could go on and on and give you examples. All right, it's a very common fracture in boxing, which normally causes a fighter to give up at some point. So I rewatched the fight. First of all, this is coming off of one of the best fights of last year. So this rematch is not your typical rematch. This is one of the best fights of last year. So I was very excited for this fight in particular. I actually thought it should have been the main event. I think the difference in this fight is that Robesi was doing better in the earlier rounds. I'm not saying he was winning the fight, but what I'm saying is he was doing better. I like that he was using the ring, moving, staying out of range, in and out with those body shots. He landed some big shots as well. I think that overall, I think he was doing better. But at the time of the stoppage, I want to say starting the fourth round, it started to look as if Robesi wasn't able. We were talking to this on live. I don't know how long he was going to be able to keep at that pace because everything that he was doing right, but it was taking a lot of energy to do it. Robesi normally, I don't think he has the best cardio. I don't want to say it's bad, but I don't think it's great neither. But the amount of movement and slipping he was doing, and just overall his body everywhere, just, constantly like changing levels and ducking underneath and stuff. It was just a lot because Espinoza is a high volume puncher. He's very tall and he throws a lot of jabs. So I thought Robesi was doing better, but I thought at the point in the stoppage, he clearly wasn't winning the fight at that point. Like the momentum shifted right back over after the third round. It shifted right back over to Espinoza and then it started to look similar to the first fight. In those first 5 rounds or so before the first knockdown. So anyway, now these are the things that I noticed. Again, I had rewinded some of these things. I had recorded, took snapshots of different points of the fight to see if there was an actual elbow in the fight. I said there was elbows thrown. I want to count. Let me explain this first. With Espinoza, there's 3 things. When he throws his hook, right? He brings his elbow around. When he's pushing off, his elbow is out. Okay? And then there was a point one in the elbows, maybe the fifth round one, where I think it was a first round or sixth round, second round. There was a point where he just like went like it was a straight elbow. Okay. If you watch the second round, towards the end of the second round, they show recaps of the elbow. And it's not like the cameraman and they were showing it. You know, the referee actually gave him a warning in the first round. And in the end of the second round, going into the third round, they were showing replays of the elbow attempt. So it's not like there weren't elbows thrown. My thing is, though, I remember seeing the swelling. I remember it started in the fifth round. There was an elbow thrown in the fifth round, but it missed. It did not connect. I believed when I watched it live that was probably the elbow that caused the swellage. Well, now we know the fracture. But after rewatching it, it wasn't that elbow. It was an elbow thrown, but it wasn't an elbow that landed, that started it. It could have been a punch. It could have been an headbutt. I think there was more successful headbutt clashes between the two stepping in than actual elbows. I think the elbow was far less effective than the headbutt clashes. It was a lot of, I mean, I think there were at least 4 to 5 clean headbutt clashes between these two. So I think if anything that caused that eye fracture, I think it's probably either from a punch or a headbutt. So in the sixth round, where Ramirez quit, he took a right hand immediately, like the very beginning of the sixth round. He stepped back, he waved his hands up, signaling to ref like, I'm done. All right, he turned his back, and the fight was over. He complained about the elbows. I personally, after rewatching the fight, I don't think the elbow caused the fracture. Okay, I don't think that anything involving the elbow really had a real effect of the fight, because I watched the elbows and the 3 or 4 arguable elbows that were there. I think one maybe landed, and it wasn't the one that landed on his eye. It was one on the cheek in the earlier rounds. So, that's my stance on it. All right. The bone fracture, I don't know what caused it. I will never know what caused it. I don't think anyone will know exactly what caused that fracture. But I know the fracture was there in the fifth round. And what I believe, not saying that this is facts, but what I believe is Ramirez knew in the fifth round that that fracture was there. And I think he knew going out there, because he probably didn't want to quit on his stool, that it was only going to be a matter of time before the fight was going to be stopped. And he went back out there, and the first right hand he took, he waved the fight off. And I think, as I said, I think it's really that simple. I think it's really just that simple. You know what I mean? I think he had a better strategy in this fight. But who knows if it was ever going to really be enough. You know, I think part of the reason why I picked against Ramirez in this rematch is because I think it was one of those fights that no matter how well he did, he would probably still need a knockout to win. And I figured that Espinoza would be a lot more. I know he was still going to be active, but I didn't think he would be, as reckless as he was in the first fight. I think in the first fight, I just think he was a little too reckless in the first fight. You know what I mean? I think he was winning so clearly in those first 5 rounds that he got comfortable and then caught that right hand in that 5th round, which dropped him. Um, so anyway, that's just that. I think like I said, and then my one complaint about 126 at this point is I just need to see more unifications. What is up with the unifications at this division? I mean, this has gone over way past 10 years of us not getting any kind of unified fights at 126. This is even from back in the Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz time, Gary Russell. None of those guys, none of those featherweights actually unified. I mean, even that back when, like, when Mikey Garcia was a featherweight, I don't even think those guys were even like unifying back then. Like that class, that crop of featherweights. So I don't know what's going on with this division, but I would like to see some. You got Angelo Leo as a champ. You got Brandon Figueroa. He's gonna fight Stephen Fulton in a rematch. You got Nick Ball. He's still a champ. You got Ray Vargas. He's a champ. I don't know what's going on, but somebody has to fight somebody. There's no reason, even if we don't get undisputed. And Espinoza should, I guess as long as he's doing well at the division, continue to stay down there. If he can cut weight, be 6'1", and cut it down to 126, and then rehydrate back up to 144 on fight night, why move up if you can continue doing that? The moment he can't make weight or the moment he's drained for a fight, maybe it'll be time to move up to 130. But if he can continue doing this for at this point in his career, why move up? He's still strong. He's still powerful, and he still has a high punch value. You know what I mean? So that's my point. That's my opinion on him. I think Ramirez just can't beat this guy. I know Tim Bradley, he's a fighter, and he was a tough fighter when he was active. He was kind of harsh. He was basically saying his career is over, he quit, yada yada yada. I think for a fighter, especially a Hall of Fame fighter like him, he's gonna come out looking at it from a fighter standpoint, and he said he would have definitely never quit that way. But I also feel that I think that the boxing public always go really hard on these guys that have these eye bone fractures. I never had that before. And while you're fighting, it's probably extreme, very extreme pain to have while you're still trying to fight and protect yourself. You know what I mean? So, Danny Dubois was being called a quitter, and he lost to Joe Joyce the same way. He didn't quit immediately, but he lost the same way, and then took a knee and didn't get back up against Usyk. But look at where he's at now. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's over for Robesi Ramirez. I mean, what if he can still beat everybody else at 126? Maybe he shifts to a different section of body and look for a different way to become a champion again. Two-time champ. So he's still a very good fighter. I just think Espinoza has a style that's going to be difficult for anybody up at that weight or down at that weight to beat him. All right. Maybe he is the best. And if he is the best, then Robesi has different options. He has different titles he can fight for. He's still a very good fighter to me. All right. I hope he gets better. Congratulations to Rafael Espinoza. I still really don't like the elbows. I don't. All right. I'm not a fan of that because they're too blatant. But I don't, like I was saying on a live the other night, when everybody's going back and forth on whether there were elbows, whether, he quit. I think two things, I think more than one thing could be true at the same time. There were elbows, but I don't think the elbows is the cause of the loss. I think the either a punch or the headbutts is the cause for the fracture. That's what I think. And Robesi lost. He quit. He did quit. All right. Um. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you feel about the future of these fighters? I don't think they need to go up. I don't think they need to move. I think they should stay right where they are and challenge the other fighters. You know, if they told me, you know, Robesi Ramirez is going to be fighting Angelo Leo in this very next fight, I think Ramirez would still have a good chance of being the winner. You know, I think he still has chances of becoming champion again. All right. All right. So again, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up if you can. Share the video as well. And I'll see you guys on the next one.